The Mystery Gang have been the world's best crime solvers for over 50 years now. But let's flip the script. What if they were charged for all the crimes they commit? Now, it's no secret that the gang have some unorthodox sleuthing methods. I mean, there's a talking dog for one. But they also just kind of throw caution to the wind and hope for the best. And it always works. Their plot armor works harder than whoever does all the paperwork down at the station for all their cases. This first section will lovingly be called Meddling crimes, and it's pretty much exactly how it sounds. The crimes they commit to aid in their investigations. Vigilantism technically is not a crime, but it's a good umbrella term for all the other things that go with it. There's a real fine line between trespassing and breaking and entering, and it pretty much comes down to if there was a closed barrier for entry, like a door or a window. But they do both. A bunch. Trespassing is kind of like a slap on the wrist. At most they're getting 6 months, but more often than not you're just told to go home. But breaking and entering is way more serious, earning them 6 whole years behind bars. And I feel like I can easily put property destruction here. Something tells me that these holes the size of a guy and his dog were not here before. And they don't just break into residences or random buildings either. Sometimes they just waltz right into some protected pyramids or a military base and expect to run the show. And most times they do. We like to call that privilege. Once they get through the doors, the obstruction of justice pretty much immediately starts. Every time they find a clue, they just pocket it like it's an item in a game to be used later. Tampering with evidence includes knowingly removing something from the crime scene, so we could probably mark them down for like 3 of these per episode. Even Fred setting up his iconic traps opens up a whole Pandora's box of charges that can be brought against them. Now, you could argue that these are all citizens' arrests, but that's no fun for this video. Every time a trap connects, we've got a battery charge along with false imprisonment, and I will actually accept the potential for some of these to be assault with a deadly weapon. I mean, look at this. Anyone's getting destroyed by this. Except me. I'm built different. Probably a good time to bring up the klutz factor of the gang. I know Daphne is often called danger prone, but the rest of them ain't much better. The amount of stuff they break to try and bring in these crooks is incredible. You almost couldn't do better if you were trying. A lot of it is just stuff. It can always get replaced. But it's when they start to destroy historical artifacts that I start to take it more seriously. Sometimes the gang will just stumble across a stick of dynamite and toss it over their shoulder like a handful of salt, or find something shiny and cause a cave-in or something stupid. Which starts at reckless endangerment and can easily ramp up from there, especially once the environmental crimes start coming into play. Speaking of reckless, I'd be a fool not to bring up Fred behind the wheel. In some of those early series, you could flip a coin to determine whether or not the mystery machine ends up upside down in a ditch or run out of fuel. But I'm willing to give him not guilty by reason of himbo for that. However, when a criminal takes off and he whips around town after them, I feel like reckless driving is more than fair. Plus, I've literally witnessed Velma run a guy over. Kinda hard to argue against that one. Also, how often do the gang put on a seatbelt? I feel like it's not as often as it should be. Thank you to Click It or Ticket for sponsoring this video. Nah, not really. It's actually sponsored by me and all my lovely members over on the Patreon. Check it out and get your name on here with everyone. Watch the next videos a few weeks early, and get some behind the scenes updates. Also, just while we're on Fred here, let's talk about him aiding and abetting and harboring a fugitive. The fugitive in question, of course, being his own father from Be Cool Scooby-Doo. Donald Jones is a notorious thief who escaped prison to try and warn Fred about his backstabbing friend. So Fred repays the favor by locking him in the mystery machine and flying it off into the night to escape the cops. So not only did he cause havoc in the city, leading the entire police force on a 5-star wanted level chase to the bridge, and over the bridge, but also helped someone who's essentially an FBI most wanted man escape. Can't lie, kinda cool.
Huh? Oh, come on! You gotta admit this is cool!
The gang also love to play dress up to take their enemy by surprise, which is just a goofy fun joke.
Identity theft is not a joke, Jim.
So we've gotten the more common crimes the gang gets away with out of the way. Now we've got some real special cases. Every so often, the gang have a tendency to flex their sticky fingers and just straight up steal stuff. Shoplifting is kind of a slap on the wrist, but if it's over $950 in value, we can upgrade it to grand theft. Skateboard? Probably not. A full-on boat? Yeah, probably. Speaking of boats, it came to my attention that there's a charge specifically for illegally boarding a vessel, which happens in the franchise a lot more than you'd think. While we're down below sea level,
I am under the water. Please help me.
Surely all 4 members of the gang aren't certified divers, right? Like, I can't imagine so, but even if they are, there's no way that a dog should be down there. I know they love Scooby, but you can definitely make an animal cruelty argument based on the sheer number of occasions where Scooby almost dies. Might as well add some child endangerment in there too, whether it be Shaggy's little sister, Flim Flam, or some random kid they're chaperoning. Not to mention when the culprits happen to be children, those charges rack up quick. You'd think that the gang have no business kidnapping anyone, and yeah, you're right. But that doesn't stop them. In the very first episode of Mystery Incorporated, Fred just runs off with his worker encased in the jelly. As far as we know, he's still alive. So at least they're not disturbing the dead or anything. Until later on when they dig up a grave and steal this pistol. Right. Oftentimes the gang don't even abide by police orders after they've been talked to or even arrested. They've resisted arrest, assaulted officers, and broken out of jail altogether. Oh yeah, they also derailed an entire train trying to run from the cops. Of course we have to fit some white-collar crimes in here too. I mean, what else would 4 teens with seemingly unlimited money be doing? Shaggy always seems to luck his way into inheriting a lump sum of money or a property, but I don't think I've ever seen him pay taxes on them. Now, usually he's out saving the world or something, but Uncle Sam stops for no one. I still won't rat him out though. Tax evasion's cool. I'm gonna open up the gang here just a bit to include one more crime, but I promise it's worth the trouble. Scrappy-Doo joins up with his Uncle Scooby for over 100 episodes, and actually puts in more work to solve the cases than Shaggy and Scooby-Doo. But I just can't overlook him picking up this lava monster and throwing them into an active volcano. Scrappy, you absolute psycho. I love you. But if I bring up Scrappy again, I do unfortunately have to open up the Velma show to this as well. He continues the murder spree and moves the bodies around town. Sure, probably not worth the hassle. But Daphne and Velma become drug dealers for like a quarter of an episode, which is just really funny to throw on the rap sheets. Velma's is actually even longer, especially if we add on her little stunts back in Egypt from Where's My Mummy. Maybe Fred's kidnapping charge was a little harsh before, but Velma takes it a step further and triples it. Also, kidnapping in Egypt gets a life sentence as opposed to 8 years, so she's really feeling bold here. Oh, she's also the resident hacker for the gang whenever they need it. The most dangerous girl you know has a big ol' roundy face. I would probably put her as the gang's most serious offender, with Fred in a close second place with all of his death traps. Then Shag and Scoob constantly breaking everything. And then Daphne with her shoplifting. God forbid a girl has hobbies. But the worst crime the gang has ever committed is staying out past curfew. Get these criminals off the streets. Can you think of any more crimes that I might have missed? Let me know down below. You already know I'll be down in the comments. Otherwise, thank you for liking the video, hitting the subscribe button, and just even clicking on in the first place. Y'all are the best. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. But until then, bye! Okay, so I've done all the crimes from all the movies, all the crimes from every single episode, and now the crimes of the Mystery Gang. So I guess the only other thing left would be to do the real-life crimes of every single celebrity guest. Nah, that's stupid. Surely none of them have done anything. Oh.